Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Marketplace. Coming up, Ghana at risk of failing fourth IMF review due to missed key targets.
There was spending in the last quarter that we all have to admit was reckless. And the IMF has already indicated that we're not going to pass the next inspection.
Also coming up, economist Professor Peter Korte urges government to focus on infrastructure projects in the National Development Plan to enable long-term benefits for citizens.
Let's look at the National Development Plan, our medium-term strategy, what we want to achieve, and select some of these capital projects, not based on partisan interest.
And as the world observes Consumer Day, the Consumer Protection Agency is blaming Parliament's failure to pass the long-awaited consumer bill for the rise in unwholesome and substandard goods in the local market.
Enough for it to go to Parliament, have its first reading, have its second reading. It's unfortunate that the state does not see it necessary to pass the bill.
My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. Ghana is at risk of failing the IMF's fourth program review this June. That's according to Joe Jackson, Chief Executive of Dalex Finance, and Fish Eshiagbo, Senior Country Partner at PwC Ghana. This follows the revelation that Ghana missed all key program targets last year, potentially causing the nation to forfeit over $300 million in IMF disbursements, possibly as early as July. Speaking on PM Express Business Edition, Mr. Eshiagbo expressed concern about the negative impact this could have on the economy.
I think it's definitely going to be a challenge, but I guess we'll take some comfort from the Commissioner General's statements. He's confident. The minister is confident. So obviously, with that will, there's got to be a way. Like I said, and others have also said, there's a large amount of people outside the net. And to the extent that we can actually bring them in, and I see GRA now talking about deploying digital tools, etc., to broaden the net, then there's hope that we can actually hit those numbers. You've also mentioned the increase in taxes on the mining sector, or specifically the levies. And then, of course, the extension of the stabilization levy and the special import levies. So we have to do what we can to bring in the numbers. But I guess I take some comfort from the optimism that the Commissioner General has indicated. Something has to give, like we've all said. And we look forward to those numbers being achieved.
However, Chief Executive of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, believes this setback should prompt the government to begin talks for an extension of the program.
IMF is not sitting here every day.
But they come on staff review.
Yes, but when was the last review? And when did things go south? Things went south.
Just in the last 2 months or something?
3 months, exactly. So we went on.
Can the fund not be blamed for this
How can the fund be
because
blamed?
we're under a fund program?
You see, you're under a fund program, but you have to show the discipline. What did we do? We did exactly what we said we wouldn't do, which is go on a spending binge in an election year.
But not on the argument again they're making is that this is not on cash, but again, and you are a finance person, these are project commitments.
Listen, they are commitments.
Yeah.
They have to be paid. This cash business, it won't fly. And part of our problems are that we refuse, we make commitments and we don't account for them properly. Right? That commitment you've made, somebody has taken a financial decision based on it. That commitment you've made, somebody has gone out and expended resources. A financial institution has loaned out money. Shouldn't that be part of the books?
Okay.
That won't fly. Listen, there was spending in the last quarter that we all have to admit was reckless. We all have to admit short. And the IMF has already indicated that we're not going to pass the next inspection. With these numbers, how are you going to pass the next inspection? What's your primary balance?
You think that the fourth review we are not going to pass based on?
No, you can't. How could you? Look, what was your primary balance at the end of December? Negative 3.3%. What had you promised? Positive 1.5%. Did you meet that? How much were you going to borrow on the domestic market? Did you meet that? And I could go on and on and on.
Well, away from that, economist Professor Peter Quartey has urged the government to prioritize capital infrastructure projects under the National Development Plan to ensure their continuity beyond their term in office. Speaking at his inaugural lecture at the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, Professor Quartey cautioned the John Mahama administration against selecting and building projects with limited long-term benefits for citizens.
Speaking at S inaugural lecture, Professor Peter Quartey stressed the need to seek for value for money for these projects.
Capital projects should be carefully selected through a national development planning process. When we are selecting some of these projects, I think let's look at the national development plan, our medium-term strategy, what we want to achieve, and select some of these capital projects, not based on partisan interest. During the last elections, I didn't see much of that, but previously, you see the incumbent cutting sword. In fact, unplanned, see them with their sword, moving left, right, center, cutting sword. Well, these are projects that have not been planned. We cut sword and promise and implement. So by so doing, we are committing our budget into projects that have not undergone through any feasibility studies, and that doesn't help.
He also stressed the need to promote export diversification to avoid vulnerability to global price shocks that negatively impact public finances and increase borrowing.
The multipurpose dam that I thought was a very great initiative, because every time there's a spillage of the Bagri Dam, I wonder whether we cannot have a dam to channel this water. I wonder whether we cannot be like Burkina Faso, where they produce onions, tomato, through irrigation. So that for me was a game changer. This dam was going to provide electricity, generate 60 megawatts of electricity, 25,000 irrigation scheme, flood control system, and it was estimated to cost $993 million.
The inaugural lecture focused on some key solutions to address Ghana's economic challenges.
Now, as the world observes Consumer Day, the Consumer Protection Agency is blaming Parliament's failure to pass a long-awaited consumer bill for the rise in unwholesome and substandard goods in the local market. The agency warns that the lack of comprehensive consumer protection law has left a regulatory gap, allowing unscrupulous businesses to exploit consumers. Director of Consumer Mediation and Arbitration, Nana Prempeh, emphasized that the consumer bill, which has been stalled in Parliament, would provide a robust framework for protecting consumer rights and holding businesses accountable for their actions.
Current bill before Parliament, the former Parliament, even the one before 2013, was sponsored by the Consumer Protection Agency. We paid for it fully for the draft to be done. We've done enough for it to go to Parliament, have its first reading, have its second reading. It's unfortunate that the state does not see it necessary to pass the bill. Probably I see that because the state also controls some of the institutions like the utility service providers who are always in loggerheads with consumers. Probably they think that when the consumer bill comes into effect, most of the things might go against the state itself, and therefore the reason why they are dragging their feet. But once, as I said, once you are a consumer and I am a consumer, if we bring our heads together and we say that, look, the time is now, pass the consumer bill so that at the end of the day, I can be protected. My brother, you know, we have scattered bills that we claim are protected consumers, but they are not doing that at all. If we have the consumer bill in place, so many things will change, so many lifestyles will change. There is no way any institution will allow a product to come into this country without going through the normal process, like the paints that we are talking about. If you do that, the consumer commissioner will charge even the officer, the CEO in charge of that place, will charge him responsible because he has the powers of a high court. You see, the Consumer Protection Agency cannot do this alone. We have done enough. We go to Parliament, we write to them, we meet select committees. We wish the bill is passed, but we cannot do it alone. That is why we are calling on the media houses that for now, let's hammer it. Give us more time on our airways. Let's talk about it. Let's sensitize our people and take them a look. Our parliamentarians, you are representing us. This is something that we need in this country. We have tried and tried and tried. I remember the last Parliament. If you remember, the Minister for Trade, Abutinapop, made a definite statement in Parliament that this time the bill will be passed. We don't know what happened. We are back to square one again. So this time we are pleading. We are on our knees. We are pleading the President, we are pleading the Parliament of Ghana to pass this bill so that you and I can be protected. So that somebody cannot sit in a church and say that he has developed a product, name it and give it to people just to take what the FDA have not satisfied. If the bill is passed, nothing like this can be done in this country. I say that 50% of it is because once the bill is in place and is working, and we have the Consumer Commissioner working, my brother, a lot of these things that we are seeing, because you're the institution that will allow the product to come to this country, you will be surcharged. And therefore, everybody will sit up. Everybody will sit up. So it's one of the main reasons why we are having all this problem with our products and services.
Now, with 1.5 billion is dedicated to vegetable production and other agricultural subsectors, the Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association of Ghana is calling on the Minister of Agriculture to focus on the development of irrigation facilities and storage infrastructure. Speaking to Joy Business at the Israeli Economic and Trade Missions Forum on the development of Ghana's vegetable industry, President of the association, Dr. Felix Kamasa, said investment in irrigation projects and value chain development will increase yield and reduce post-harvest losses.
If they can able to support them in terms of greenhouse production, irrigation facility, because I'm talking about the vegetable sector, those are the things can help the sector to grow, to produce a quality solution. The amount we are talking about is going to infrastructure. If you know, Ghana Irrigation Authority have a lot of irrigation sites across the country. They are not functioning. Can we rehabilitate those irrigation facilities for vegetable production? The smart agriculture we are talking about, the greenhouse, the smart agriculture we are talking about, the water quality and all those things come in it. If they can able to apportion some of the money to go into that area, I think it will go a long way to help the sector, because the vegetable production is one of the areas can take care of the youth quickly if you are talking about unemployment, because it's easy for the youth to look at a vegetable. Let us take a short within from nursery to harvest within 2 months we are seeing a result. Other vegetable 3 months we are seeing a result. What can we do practically for that budget, that amount specifically to go to that sector? The post-harvest losses, we are looking at cold chain, because vegetables have a short shelf life. Some of them they can add value. You'll be amazed. Tomatoes you can do the paste, and then you can even use some tomatoes, even powder, even the soap, tomato soap. You'll be amazed. I went to Benin, I saw tomato soap. So those are some of the unique things. We already want to collaborate with the Ministry of Agriculture. We already have first engagement with the minister and see how best we can able to eliminate those post-harvest management so that it can cut across, because vegetable production is a value chain. Sometimes we solve one side and leave the other side.
Now, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, bread, cakes and other pastries on the Ghanaian market saw skyrocketing prices, denying many consumers a moment to relish their favorite confections. Now, thankfully, the prices of these flour-based products may in the coming years see a decline as scientists begin the cultivation of a major component of the wheat flour in Ghana. The local grain sourced from other countries is currently being prepared for certification and is expected to be released to farmers for commercialization. This week on Food Chain, Emmanuel Bide Kweku speaks with scientists spearheading the Ghana Wheat Initiative, which aims to boost local production, create more jobs, and consequently show up the economy.
Along the busy stretch of the Bomso traffic light on the Kumasi-Accra Highway, hawkers chase after moving vehicles to sell their wares. Conspicuous among the variety of items sold on these streets is bread, a local staple food enjoyed by many households in Ghana. Bread is made from a dough of flour and water, usually by baking. Eja has been in the bread-making business for over 3 decades now, a trade he inherited from his mother, but the business has dwindled in the last 3 years. In the past 2 years, the price of flour has increased, which affected the price of bread. Flour, a major component of the bread dough, is now an expensive commodity. Produced from wheat, the cost of flour has for the past 3 years seen an upward trend. Its attributable cause? The Russian-Ukraine war. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, demand for wheat flour on the local market increased. The two countries, who are few of the largest wheat producers, ceased exportation of the grain following the cessation of the Black Sea grain deal. This resulted in cascading effects on the prices of the commodity along the wheat value chain globally. Kojo Owusu, a flour vendor at the Asafo market in Kumasi, began his flour vending shop 2 years before the war. We used to get did not last long, so the prices skyrocketed. The impact of the war saw some local bakeries laying off staff to stay in business. Ghana heavily relies on imported wheat to feed its citizens and domestic poultry. The country imports nearly $300 million of the grain every year. According to the Observatory of the Economic Complexity report, Ghana imports wheat primarily from Canada, Russia, Lithuania, France, and Ukraine annually. Director of the Crops Research Institute under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Professor Maxwell Darko-Asante, highlights the impacts of these importations.
Wheat is known mainly as a temperate crop, so we have not been growing wheat in Ghana. As we saw during the Russia-Ukraine war, it is not safe to just say that some country can produce something and ship to you. You may even have money, but there will be no wheat to buy.
The wheat import market continues to grow rapidly for Ghana, with a population growth of over 30 million people coupled with fast urbanization. Local actors in the wheat value chain are anticipating the local cultivation of the grain to ease the burden. Own wheat grown in Ghana, and this would help us produce local flour. Thankfully, their wishes could be seen the light of day through the Ghana Wheat Initiative aimed at growing wheat locally. Dr. Felix Frimpong is the project lead for the Ghana Wheat Initiative.
Wheat is a commercial crop, okay? So the aspect of job creation is also very significant in all this, okay? You talked about the bread. So look at the bread industry. If we have local wheat and it's affordable, so many people can venture into bread making.
All right, you're watching The Marketplace. We will be right back with some more, including show business. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to The Marketplace. With time to talk show business, we're going to talk about the 2025 budget presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Karsela Toforsen. It covered various sectors of the economy, but made no direct mention of the culture and creative arts industry. And that omission has raised concerns about government's commitment to supporting the sector, especially in areas such as funding, infrastructure, and policy direction. Well, we turn our focus to that on today's edition. Joining me in studio, as always, culture journalist Kenneth Auchidako, who has been following the budget closely. Welcome to the studio. So, are they justified?
So, Darryl, it's interesting that you mentioned the fact that it has been a concern because, of course, there have been some uproar from various quarters within the creative industry about the fact that the minister did not explicitly comment on the allocation that have been made toward the creative sector, like has been done over the past few budget readings since time memorial. But during the reading, if you paid attention closely, the minister also made mention of the fact that he's diverting from the norm and he's going to ensure that different sectors come to Parliament with their own detailed plan and budget for their various industries going forward. And so that could explain the reason why it was not explicitly mentioned what exactly the government has in terms of the creative space. So we are hoping that when that time comes and the various ministers come to Parliament with their plans, when Honorable Jifa Gomashi steps in, she will be able to outline what exactly the plans are. So we are looking forward to that as well in the coming weeks.
Right. Well, without the mention, there are other aspects of the budget, I guess, that affects the sector, like the tax measures and incentives for businesses. That could indirectly affect the creators as well, wouldn't it? Exactly.
So there are different forms in which the budget statement that was read is going to affect the creative economy. For instance, if you look at the fact that the 24-hour economy has been, touted most of the time by the government. On that day, the finance minister indicated that there was going to be a time when Parliament will lay, or when government will lay a proper proposal for how that modality is going to be executed. But if you look at the fact that that modality has something to do with the creative economy, because if you look at the fact that in the entertainment space, in the showbiz space, the nighttime has been very dominant when it comes to, for instance, for concerts and all of those other things. There are a lot of issues that border on the industry that could be tackled through the 24-hour economy. So the fact that government is saying that, from the outline that have been seen so far from that policy alone, we know that it is trying to ensure that there is like a 3-shift system for what has traditionally been meant for one stream of employees, right, so that they are able to multiply the number of employment that they are giving and also ensure that there's more productivity. 3-time productivity as against what we are already seeing. So the 24-hour economy is something that is going to affect that as well. So this, for instance, that you're seeing on the board here talks about the fact that the 24-hour economy is going to ensure expanded working hours for the entertainment centers and live venues and tourism activities as well. So this is one benefit that, even though was not specifically mentioned, is something that can encapsulate
government
that industry
itself
as well.
Being criticized for not saying so much about the 24-hour economy. You also talk about the increased demand for creative content performances and cultural showcases.
Exactly. So this is also another area where the industry is going to benefit, even though it hasn't been mentioned specifically. And so people are looking at the fact that hopefully when the minister comes to lay her plan to the floor, on the floor, we are going to see some...
Yeah, we've got to go, but we can't lose sight of the abolition of the e-levy, which is also going to boost mobile money transactions for ticket sales, digital content, and purchases. I bet the stakeholders are looking out for more. We'll talk more about it subsequently. I guess it's still a matter relevant to us.
Yep.
And that's the marketplace, everyone. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Enjoy your weekend.